Finally, another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Chris Chiquini and Chris Casares.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. And welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. You can find us on Twitter at Odo Island Pod. I am Smooth Chris, and with me as always is neighbor annoyed with his neighbor's kid, Slick Chris.
I'm Hollow Chris today.
Hollow Chris? All right.
Hollow Chris.
Whatever you say, Bones Jackson.
Well, we're not even messing around today. It's just right into it.
Nothing at the get-go. We're just going to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong. Came out at 3 a.m. this morning. It is now 5:30 p.m. So we've been up this entire time. Not just kidding. We took breaks.
Yeah, but we did both watch it at 3 a.m.
We sure did.
Like lunatics.
I was there anyway. Joe Biden's bug and me rule the night. So I was there anyway. So, but welcome to the night. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I woke up at a little bit before 2 a.m. I made myself a little breakfast sandwich and made a little Bloody Mary for the movie, which is always fun at 3 a.m. And yeah, it was a good time.
I just got ripped.
I will say I enjoy this HBO Max stuff where I was like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can pause it and not miss anything. Fantastic.
Right. Novel concept.
I'm all for it. All for it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of having movies that are supposed to come out in theaters also come out on streaming services right away, so I don't have to go to the movies when there's a pandemic. That's pretty awesome. I do want to go to the movies and see this, though.
I agree, but I never really liked going to the movies before the pandemic anyway, so this is also a nice alternative for me. But enough of that noise. Should we just do our knee-jerk reactions to this movie, to Godzilla vs. Kong?
If you follow me on Twitter at BDF Chris, you'll know that I love this fucking movie now. It instantly became one of my favorite Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I thought it was very good as well. I think my initial reaction is that it's the best of the MonsterVerse, as we'll probably talk about more. Yeah. And I like the MonsterVerse. I like the Toho stuff a lot more than the MonsterVerse, but I do enjoy the MonsterVerse take on things, and I thought this was easily I shouldn't say easily, but definitely the best of the MonsterVerse to me. Knee-jerk reaction on March 31st, watching it twice today.
Yeah, I watched it twice too, and my knee-jerk reaction might be my favorite Godzilla movie ever. I have to rewatch GMK to reevaluate the situation. That's how much I like this movie. I know there are people probably listening to this going like, oh my fucking God, I hate this guy now. But you know what? Sign me up for these big, dumb spectacles because I love them.
Yeah, it's funny. I also watched the second episode of Singular Point today, which also released today, and I was like, oh boy, a lot of Godzilla stuff to watch today. Talk about like two very tonally different things going on right now. But that's kind of what we always talk about. Like the different takes in Godzilla are good. You get the weird X-Files-ish slow burn of. Well, it really should be called Jet Jaguar Singular Point with the way first two episodes have been. But and then you get which is not a problem. It's a good thing. And then you get, this is like the big. I mean, this movie in particular, it's like Godzilla and Kong are like the stars of this movie.
I know.
Like the human characters are.
Who'd have thunk it?
Are just. But it's like I don't know if that would work in every movie, but
it works. I think
in this Kong
one.
Is so emotive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Kong is so emotive that I think that can carry it. That was but because Godzilla actually isn't well, I mean, Godzilla's in it a lot because the fight scenes are super fucking long and which is good.
Yeah.
But like, other than that, like Godzilla doesn't really do too much, and it's mostly focused on Kong.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the right way to go for a movie like this.
Kong is definitely the main star of this movie. You see everything. It starts off with him in his enclosure, and you see everything basically from his perspective from the get-go. The only parts you really don't are the Apex Technologies parts. That's the only part where it gets away.
We should probably also say too that this is going to be very spoiler heavy.
Yeah,
through this.
If you didn't watch the movie, skip to probably 45 minutes in when we rank it.
Yeah. So spoilers: Bryan Cranston's still dead in the Monsterverse. If you were looking for that comeback, but yeah. So like Kong was like kind of like. I felt bad for Kong, like a lot of the movie, right? Like, cause it's like he's taken from Skull Island, and he just seems like bummed out that he's like understandably so. That he's like chained to a boat going halfway across the world. Doesn't really believe the mission that they're on, and then he's like dumped in Antarctica. He's all set. Like, well, first gets his ass kicked by Godzilla out at sea, and then he's like dumped in the snow.
He put up a good fight, though.
Finds his family,
especially since the water is not his terrain. He fared very well.
Yeah, until he nearly drowned. But yeah, I guess just to kind of wrap up that point about Kong is that now he knows sign language in the movie, which I thought was a nice more way to kind of connect him with the audience. I kind of felt like get a little bit more insight into him, and he's Kong is really like the star of this movie,
and I have no problem with that. They made him sign language so he could emote what he wants. You know what I mean? So you don't get much out of him; you just get one word, but that's all he really wants. So you get his motivation is he just wants to be where he belongs. Like Skull Island. There was a storm that killed all the natives, and she was the little girl's the only survivor. So they entrap him in this basically giant arena with they trapped him in WWE's Thunderdome. And you can tell he doesn't like it because he's smashing it.
Yeah,
and you feel for him. It's a nice place. They did a good job with it, but it's not right.
Well, it was Skull Island. It was just what was left of Skull Island. They built so the storm that was around it in Kong Skull Island that eventually closed on Skull Island. They just built that Monarch outpost around it.
Yeah, and but you could tell that he just it wasn't right. So they're bringing him to find a new energy. Apex wants to bring them to find a new energy source so they could power their top secret spoiler kaiju that we did a fantastic job not mentioning for a while, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I thought for the most part Kong's motivations were pretty limited and that's good. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't need to have this giant monkey having an ulterior motive. He just says his one word home, and he wants to go there. That's it.
Yeah, and I think so. Gia was the little girl that he has the connection to. That and she's deaf and converses with him through sign language, and of the human characters in the movie, I actually thought she was probably the best one beside I don't know, the most likable. One to me anyway, and I think it was good to have her be that communicator to Kong and stuff like that. That again, I think is this movie so focused on the monsters. I think that character and that relationship, I think, progresses that enables you to make Kong and Godzilla the stars more because there's plenty of human characters in this movie. I guess we can run through them at some point, but oh, whatever. I guess we should probably just run through them now.
Sure. Let's segue into the humans.
She's the she's the best, I thought. Then you get God, I always forget characters' names, but you get I'll call him Eric from True Blood. He's kind of like, I don't know. He grew on me as the movie went on. He's like a little goofy at first.
Very
He's
limited
like
lines throughout the movie. He has the one scene where he's introduced, and then after that, it's very limited from him.
Yeah, does like some good like goofy like facial expression things like later in the movie. It's like when Gia and the doctor like kind of keep calling him a coward in sign language, and then he tries to like say that Gia's a hero, but like he signs like coward. Yeah, like they kind of like laugh. That was good. He did like little goofy things like that. I thought he was fine. The other doctor lady, I
want to stay on Alexander
really
Skarsgård for a second, though, because there's one thing I noticed about him. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's his real name. I forget his name in the movie, but when he's talking to the Apex guy's daughter, and she goes, "You could be impressed now." I thought that would have been a perfect setup if Owen Wilson played the character, because then it was a setup for his catchphrase. Oh wow. But other than that, he was fine.
Yeah, he's one of the many characters that are manipulated by the villains of the movie, which is like the guy that runs Apex and like his really unlikable heel daughter. They're like straight up like Bond villains in this movie.
Very one dimensional, and I love. If there's one thing I love, it's a evil one dimensional heel in a movie.
Even like the guy who runs Apex, who is like manipulating all of this to get an energy source to power up his like Mecha Godzilla that is powered by King Ghidorah's brain thing going on. Like he even like walks around with like a jacket like just draped over his shoulders for like most of the movie in true like
with like a glass
fashion,
with a glass of scotch in his hand. Although just because this is 2021, I want to pretend that it's rye whiskey.
I think like a good example of like this movie like not taking itself too seriously and kind of subverting some of like the blockbuster villain tropes, like kind of skipping towards the end of the movie when the Apex president guy is like supposed to be given like his like big villainous speech. Like he gets like about like a quarter of the way through it before like the Mechagodzilla that's lost control like just kills him, and I was like, oh, that was good. We didn't get like the the tropey like our hero characters are gonna hang out with like the villain for like way too long in a way that doesn't make sense. I think they just kind of threw that out the window in a pretty fantastic.
Also,
fantastic
the
way.
Apex dude is the mayor in Tijuana from Weeds after the show went off the rails, and so I'm familiar with this actor, and I was like, oh, this guy's perfect for this role. He's like very cunning and manipulative, but also just straight up like douchebag. Yeah,
he was fine as a villain. I liked it. And the other villain was
his daughter.
It was Ren Serizawa, who like that is probably one of the nitpicks I had about this movie. And it's a nitpick, but like, I feel like you can tell like a lot was probably cut from this movie, I would suspect. But like, I was like, all right, this is Serizawa's kid who's now working for like the evil corporation of this movie, and like there's no acknowledgement of him being Serizawa's kid, and like there's no interaction with like like when it's like Maddie Russell and like the other hero characters, and there should have been like at least like one scene like or some bit of dialogue acknowledging that like
his motivation.
He's Serizawa's kid, and he's doing something evil as opposed. Yeah, why is he working with Apex? Like, does he not get along with his dad? I mean, his dad never seemed to mention him before he like blew himself up with a nuclear bomb in King of the Monsters. Like, I don't know, do they have a bad relationship? Like, is he like acting out against his father? That was like the one thing I was like, okay, like I don't watch the MonsterVerse for the human stuff because the MonsterVerse has never done human stuff very good,
right?
And but that was like the one thing that I was like, come on, I would have taken it a little bit.
I wish there was more
there,
character development on him. Also, there's a great shot when Godzilla gets to Pensacola, and you see Ren Serizawa like staring at Godzilla in the distance, and I'm like, oh, this is setting up for when he's like controlling Mechagodzilla later. Like that's his like motivation. This is a great like setup shot. But then once the final battle does come, like the new element that they have for power from Hollow Earth is like kills him basically. Like so like it's not even him in there anymore, like or controlling it. And I thought that was a serious letdown. Probably the biggest letdown in the movie for me was killing him off or disposing of him before he could really do much of anything besides kill a skullcrawler in a controlled environment.
Yeah, that was again in the grand scheme of things, like not the biggest deal.
No.
But yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity.
That was the one. And that was my biggest complaint from the entire movie.
Yeah. And then rounding out the human characters, the hero trio of Maddie, Josh, and Bernie, the podcaster,
hero
which
trio.
like I actually thought they were like I was much more even though I thought Gio was the best human character, I was much more entertained by like whatever they were like, because like they kind of had like the little like buddy road trip subplot going on in this movie, and I thought they were. I thought their antics were quite funny to me. I enjoyed their hijinks and misadventures.
When the Josh kids showed up in the van, they were playing some Judas Priest, and I was like, there we go. I got mine.
Yeah. Maddie Russell looks like she has entered her Avril Lavigne emo high school stage. It seems, appearance-wise to me, it seems like, where she was heading towards her skater grunge phase.
Yeah,
but
she also has the Roman Reigns
she must be angry with the father.
Hair knot.
Oh, yeah. It's a good ref. And then, and I don't know, I guess Bernie, the podcaster, is...
That's the QAnon. He's the QAnon guy for me. He's
the comic relief of the movie, but...
Yeah, he's all, like, obsessed with Apex. Like, he does, like, hundreds of podcasts about, like, how they're, like, an evil corporation and, like, they're doing something against, like, Godzilla and Kaijus and shit. And, like that's his entire motivation is just to like bring down Apex, and he's doing it basically via what we do for this podcast.
I liked how like at 1.2 he had like he's like taking pictures like a flip phone, and I was like, oh dude, this is gonna come out so shitty.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what year is this?
He also had one of my favorite lines in the movie when they're trying to disable at least temporarily Mechagodzilla, and like the Josh kid is like trying to like, I don't know, figure out the password or something like that. He goes, I don't know, I did a summer camp for HTML, and he goes, HTML, what was it, a 90s camp? I popped for that. I thought that was that was a very comical line to me.
What's wrong with HTML?
I just like that. I was like, what was it, 90s camp, kid? And I was like, that was good.
Href equals
that was,
quotations at Odo Island Pod.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So I guess that kind of rounds out the human cast, and you know, just like I said, it's like I feel like we say it's like every MonsterVerse movie outside of like Bryan Cranston and John C. Reilly, like they're all kind of one note, but they play that one note well, I guess. So
who gets the Bryan Cranston award in this movie? Is it the Apex guy, or is it his daughter, or do they get it as a tag team? Do we have tag team Bryan Cranston?
I was actually, yeah. So for if you're newer to this podcast, you get Bryan Cranston when you are a decent sized name who gets killed kind of unexpectedly in one of these, in a MonsterVerse movie. And I think it might go to Serizawa's kid, because he just I don't know, died out of nowhere.
He did have the least amount of meat on the bone for this movie, and he did die out of nowhere. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, we'll go with him. Although, yeah, I mean, I guess we glossed over it, but yeah, the Apex president's daughter, like I said, like she was like, I hated her, like in like you're supposed to hate her, like I hated her, like in every scene she was in. Then yeah, shit. Then like the also good line around her is like when Godzilla attacks the freighter, And they're like, well, if he's coming for the monkey, dump the monkey. And then the other doctor turns around and goes like, well, we dump you, hon. And I was like, oh, boy.
I think that line reflected everyone's sentiments, because she was really useless. Like, she's like, I'm here to babysit and be kind of condescending to everybody. And like, our stuff's so much better than your stuff. Like, you're going to be, pooping your pants when you see it.
It was great when Kong, like, just, squashed her later in the movie. I was like, that was satisfying.
Yeah. I think, actually, now that we're mentioning it, like, pretty much everything that happened with Kong in this movie, I loved, especially when they got to Hollow Earth. I was like, oh, it looks fucking phenomenal. It looks like Sonic the Hedgehog meets Halo. Because everything's, like, kind of flipping to the side, like how in Halo the ring is.
Yeah.
But, so you have that. It just looks fucking awesome. And then as Kong is approaching, like, the Fortress of Solitude, I guess, there's, like, a synth, like, music piece that hits, and I'm just like, oh shit, this is Blade Runner. Like, this is the shot of LA at the beginning. Like, oh man, this is fantastic. I think that's the movie the moment where I was just like, all right, I love this movie. It's official.
Yeah. The Hollow, we were talking about, like, offline, like, that Hollow Earth stuff, I think is, like, now that it's, like, really been fleshed out and shown what it is, like, okay, if the MonsterVerse continues, this is, like, the perfect setting to easily continue the MonsterVerse. Like, there's, like, that part where, like, Kong is, like, running across the Hollow Earth, like, in, like, one of those, like, rocky fields, or, I guess not a rocky field, but whatever, rocky opening, whatever, patch of ground, and, like, there was, like, those, like, little crab monsters popped up, and then, like, another, like, kind of, like, Gila monster came and, like, scooped it up. Like, that had, like, that was, like, cool, because I was like, this is how you can, like, introduce, like, or establish, like, there's so many random monsters down here, but also I was like, oh, that was, like, a little, like, Star Wars style, like, quick, like, little cut in right there.
Also, like, anytime you see, like, a PBS or a BBC documentary about, like, random wildlife that lived, like, 20 million years ago, there's always stuff like that going on, where, like, a little crab will get up, and then, like, another lizard will eat that, and then something else will eat the lizard.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Hollow Earth is great because you only saw a little bit of it, and you can just introduce, like, an infinite amount of monsters that live down there.
Yeah, I mean, we got, what, like, in this one movie alone, kind of those crab things, that giant Gila monster things, like, we got, like, 6... Yeah, you get the warbats, those 2 things. There's a whole bunch of, like, random, like, dinosaur, like, birds flying around, and then there's, like, those weird, weird vulture dinosaur bird things that are, like, in the Fortress of Solitude. Like, it's a lot of shit that was, like, introduced in just, like, a short period of time.
They pretty gruesomely kill someone, too. Arguably the most gruesome death of the entire MonsterVerse happens in this movie, in the Fortress of Solitude. Like, the good guy characters are running back to the ship, and one of them just gets mauled by one of those vulture things, and like, it's bad. Like, they just peck at him, and, like, they're fighting over which one gets to eat him more. It's pretty gross.
And then Eric from True Blood, throws a rock at it.
That's true.
So I guess so we haven't touched on
or Godzilla.
Why we're really here, Godzilla. Yeah. Not I'll say, not the villain that the trailer's made him out to be. Still is kind of an asshole, though, for just kind of his natural state was just to kind of be a dick.
CNN fake news tried to spin it like that, though.
But, like, yeah, he gets the out because, like, basically all the stuff he attacked, although, like, he just attacks the Apex base, or he just battles with, like, Apex and Monarch boats and ships. But still, it's kind of like, I was like, he is kind of just being a dick in this movie at times, because, like, all Kong literally did was, like, just basically step outside his house, and he goes, like, I want to go fuck you up for leaving your house. Like, it's kind of...
So yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but when they explained it away, like, oh, they have an ancient rivalry, so, like, they have a way of finding each other, I was like, okay, fair enough. Like, it's a very flimsy excuse to set this up, but what you get is one of, like, the best fight scenes ever, which in the water scene. like the boats and stuff. Like Kong's jumping from ship to ship, and then Godzilla is just like taking a punch and then smacking him in the face. And man,
Kong throws a plane at him.
That was what I was going to say. Like, Kong throws a plane at him with the pilot inside. The pilot ejects, and then you see the plane go down and hit Godzilla's back and blow up and do nothing. I was just like, God was just going to kill this guy for nothing. It was like, just little stuff like that makes this movie great, in my opinion.
Yeah. I guess the last thing about Godzilla kind of be a dick is like, I get why he was going to Hong Kong to blow up Mechagodzilla, but he was came crashing right through like a bridge in Hong Kong and just like, because crashed on land. I was like, hey, you can pump the brakes a little bit, but whatever. I
think he's a, he's a edgy babyface. It's like,
King of the Monster.
Oh, I was gonna. He does a lot of like blowing up and stuff, but at the end of the day, he's our guy. Like he's our jerk. He's like the Rob Gronkowski of kaiju's. Like when he was on the Patriots, like and he was a dumbass. It's like, oh, I don't care because he's my dumbass. And now that he's on the Buccaneers, fuck Rob Gronkowski.
I think like King of the Monsters tried a little too hard to like make Godzilla out to be like
the white meat baby face,
the superhero Godzilla. Yeah, like, and it's like because like you watch like 2014, he's like his characterization in this movie is more similar to how he is in 2014, which makes like more sense to me. But I get like King of the Monsters was going with like a different vibe. But I was like, what do we go with like this notion that like Godzilla's like the savior of like the earth and stuff like that? I was like, I don't think that's like what he thinks he's doing. I think your interests just align most of the time. And so
and I think King of the Monsters does sort of address that at the very end where they're like, oh, thank God he's on our side. And the girl's like, well, for now.
Yeah.
I think she's in agreement with us.
Till Kong has the audacity to like step outside his house for like
he just wants to go. Like, it wasn't even his house. It's just where he was being held. It's like when he's getting released from jail to go back home. And imagine like being like, T-boned on your journey back home. That's basically what this was.
Yeah, Godzilla's just like, oh, Kong left. I'm going to go kick his ass now.
But I thought that whole fight sequence was great. The underwater stuff looked great. It was very easy for me to follow. But then at the end, when they're like, shut everything down, show him we're not a threat, and like, that he won. Make him think he won. Godzilla pops out of the water, and that shot is just gorgeous because it's like flames all around him.
Yeah. And
he's pissed. And it's like, all right, I got you. And then he swims away.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, the CGI in this was like
top notch.
Yeah, like not even just like for the MonsterVerse. I was like, this is some of the best CGI I've seen like in any movie recently, and I think this has like less of a budget than most of the MonsterVerse movies did too. But like, the scene that like really like maybe you're like, wow, this is amazing CGI was when Kong's in the Hollow Earth. There's like one shot that's like from like above like Kong's head, and he's like tapping one of the rocks that's like floating above, and I was just like, wow, I was like, that looks like perfect. Yes. Like, and I'm not like the biggest CGI fan, but this is like motion capture stuff, so that's like a little bit better for me. But like, but I was just like, wow, I was like, that like really looks like it, like Kong in particular looked incredible in this movie.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of Godzilla, but when you do see him, like you can see him perfectly fine, and like he's usually glowing, so that helps too. But Kong really doesn't benefit from that sort of enhancement. But what they did, like, he's so hairy and stuff too, so he's like covered with snow at one point. It's all caked on him very naturally, and like when he gets to Hollow Earth, he's like drinking the blood of the war bat after he kills him, and like just like how it looks was very convincing. Like I know it's a CGI model, but it's also very, very convincing to the naked eye.
Yeah.
But I'm also losing my vision, so that doesn't help.
I think it's like, we segue into the fights, because I mean, that's pretty much all that really happens in this movie, is like Godzilla's gonna get a new approach. He's really fast all of a sudden, and likes to run around in all fours and charge now. That's I was cool with that. I was on board with that.
I don't mind Godzilla having new abilities or doing something different. I mean, like in the 70s, you got like drop kicks and him flying. So, like, are we going to be splitting hairs over him like crawling and moving fast now? Is that
no? He just took up a different training regimen.
Everyone makes fun of Godzilla for being super chunky too. Maybe he's just trying to exercise more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, after he beat Ghidorah, he's like, you know what I need? I need more speed. So, he's out there working on his cardio. That was all. He was working on his ground game.
The king of grounded pound. Yeah, we haven't really got to... The only thing we haven't really talked about in this movie, and it's a 2-hour movie, but it flies right by. Like, you barely notice it.
Yeah.
And I love that breakneck speed. Like you can't, like, catch your breath throughout the entire movie. I loved it. But we get to Kong. That's sort of the climax of the movie. Kong is down in the Hollow Earth, and he's, like, doing some really, like, super awesome RPG stuff. And, like, this is my favorite part of the movie. And he like, the axe activates, and he puts the axe down to the slot, and, like, that activates, like, the Godzilla thing, the energy thing down there, and Godzilla senses it. So what does he do? Just blows a hole in the earth, and that point of Hong Kong just happens to be right above that area in the Hollow Earth. So it's just like an enormously deep hole that he just blows into. Like, they had to go through like a portal and go through thousands of miles to get to the spot in Hollow Earth, and Godzilla just blows a hole right to that exact spot from Hong Kong. I was just like, all right, we're stretching the limits of my suspension of disbelief here, but this movie has been so good and delivered so much up to this point. I'm with you. Go for it. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Godzilla blowing a hole in any notion that this movie takes itself seriously.
Exactly.
it's I think that's what works about this movie is that, like, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it also, I don't think, goes like, I mean, there can't be aspects to it, but, like, it doesn't, like, overindulge, like, like watching Rampage. Like, it's not like that. Like, it's kind of, don't take itself too seriously, done like in a very entertaining, I think a very entertaining way.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he blows the hole in the middle of the earth, and like they roar at each other from like opposite ends of the hole.
And,
like, that's awesome.
Like, at that point you're like, okay, this little tiny hole that they can roar through each other is like thousands of miles. Yeah. So that was the point where I was like laughing and just having a good time with it at this point. And so eventually Kong climbs out of the hole with this big giant axe, and they roar at each other, and they have their awesome fight scene where, they're in Hong Kong, so all the buildings you see in the promos, that all the buildings are glowing neon, and you get these monsters that just look so convincing and gorgeous in this lighting, just brawling and fighting, and Kong's got a giant axe and he's throwing at Godzilla. Oh man, I just love this scene. Like, what did you think of this?
Yeah, this fight was, I don't know, this is one of the best fights in any Godzilla movie. I feel like this like lives up to, I think, the overall fight totality between Godzilla and Kong. Like, just, I think it like lives up to the hype. And like, I think it's like very justified for two iconic characters like squaring off again for like the first time or second time in 60 years. And like, I mean, there's like one point where like Kong does like these are like my highlights. Kong doing a Superman punch off a building, like Roman Reigns style.
Orange punch for AEW fans.
Yeah, Godzilla doing like a random like shoulder throw to Kong at one point while he's like on top of him, but then like definitely the best that like maybe like kind of like chuckle a little bit like when it happened is like when Godzilla dislocates Kong's arm and you hear like that little crack when it happens. I was like, ooh. And then like later when he joins the Mechagodzilla fight, like, which we'll get to, like when Kong stands up and just like gets his shoulder back in place by like slamming it into a building. I was like, okay, that was awesome.
That was the Riggs moment of this movie from Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah.
but you also got the iconic Kong takes the axe and shoves it in Godzilla's mouth, like the tree from the original.
Yeah, like the tree. Yeah.
And like the one scene from from this that I thought was good was like the only time they ever really interrupted the monster fighting to switch back to the humans and what they were doing is during this scene anyway, is when they emerge from the hole and like they're flying up and you see it reminded me of like one of those like Universal rides, like roller coaster rides you go in like a 3D theater.
Oh yeah.
They fly up and they go right by Kong's mouth and then they're like flying down and they fly right past Godzilla as he's like blowing his atomic breath at Kong, and like Kong's like basically running away from it and Godzilla's just blowing up Hong Kong with his heat ray. I was just like, this is wonderful right here. It hits him and it singes him.
That was like Shin Godzilla. That was like Shin Godzilla vibes, like the way like he was like his ray was just like slicing through the city, and then it was great like when he did finally connect with it, like in Kong's back, and like Kong like just kind of spirals into the water. I was like, ooh,
and you got like
a
a singeing sound too, so it like burned him with like the hair and stuff. So I thought it was very well done during that scene.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to say related to that? I don't really. Oh, I remember now. So there's going to be like I think what's going to be a source of discussion as to did Kong really win any rounds in this movie or fights or whatever? Because like they say the line like so Godzilla clearly wins the carrier fight.
Yeah.
Godzilla ultimately wins the final fight between him and Kong. But then there's like one part where like we all saw in the trailer and like you wondered if it was going to be the end of the fight, like when Kong is swinging the axe at Godzilla, like while Godzilla's shooting his ray, and then they kind of explode, and like Godzilla they both get knocked back. Kong gets right up. Godzilla stays down for a little bit. Eric from True Blood goes, I guess round 2 goes to Kong, and I was like, I mean, Godzilla gets back up like a scene later. It seems like the fight just kind of starts again. Like, but is that like a way to give Kong like one small win, or does it count as a win?
I don't count it as a win because it's in the middle of the fight. Like there's no rounds here.
Yeah,
like it's just like start to finish, so that was at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I agree.
I think maybe he was being a little presumptive, if I'm using that word correctly, or probably not. But it was he was basically assuming something that was not yet finished, and when you do that you make an ass of you and me. I think that's the most clever line that's ever been written. Sarcasm. Like, I don't know. I don't count that as a win. I think Kong gets his win later.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fair to say he's 0-2 against Godzilla then in this movie. So
yes, I would. That's how I
feel
would
like that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that line was there to make people feel like that Kong gets like one win, but yeah, I agree. It's just it's a part of the fight. It's not the end of one and the start of a new one.
Yeah.
So,
I if you do count it as a Kong victory, and then fine, you can have it. I don't care about it enough to really contest it. But in my opinion, just because that was just sort of a break. Like maybe you count it as like Kong wins a round, but not the fight. So if you want to say you won the round, but I wouldn't call it a victory by any means. It was, boxers win rounds and lose fights every single time. So.
Yep. So that takes us to the climactic fight.
Yes. The climax after the climax.
Which actually is more. Yeah, and this is I think we've mentioned Mechagodzilla, but we haven't like talked about him too much. I don't know. I'm curious to know what you think now that we like really get to see Mechagodzilla in action. I still don't love the design, but it was like
the design is this weakest aspect.
Better than
for me, it's just the head.
I don't like the head, and I don't like the. I feel like the arms could be like a little sleeker or something. It's like a little too. I don't know. The design's a little weird to me,
yes.
But better in the movie than like it like looked like in action figures and like other promo shots. Like it looks better in action than than like on merchandise.
As you say this to me, AVGN released his Godzilla vs. Kong review on Cinemassacre on YouTube. So, like, he's a big Godzilla guy, and always has been, and he does Kong movies too. But he's very he looks very pumped for this. I know he was very down on the previous Godzilla movies, but he looks very excited. So.
We should have asked him to come on this episode. I wish we had known.
But it's got that notification. But yeah, this Mechagodzilla, like, the head looks weird. The arms being like weird, cranky things are weird. But at least he has like an energy punch that he could use with them.
And knee and kick.
I'm all for like the rocket propelling hits. That's what makes Mechagodzilla work, and I think they did a really good job here by giving him that power. Mechagodzilla just mops the floor with Godzilla. Just it's a squash match, but it goes on for a really long time, so it's like almost overkill. And Mechagodzilla, like we get our Harry Potter versus Voldemort wand power thing, like going against each other. You get the blue from Godzilla and the red from Mechagodzilla, and they sort of like have this beam clash, and Mechagodzilla wins it. Like, ooh, major moment in that movie was when
Mechagodzilla's like huge. Yes. I didn't realize he was going to be taller than Godzilla, but I took that as like every Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movie has a beam clash at some point. And I'm glad that tradition continued. But also, I appreciate that, and I will say this for every single time with every Mechagodzilla movie, I appreciate that for no good reason, Mechagodzilla can roar.
Yes. I can't believe we skipped over that. Like, I was like, why? Does he have PA speakers like in his mouth? Like, how does this work?
It's you know what? It's just very comical to me that it's like, even like we haven't watched the 90s Mechagodzilla movie yet, but like that Mechagodzilla roars. It was like, why did the Japanese military like spend time on letting him roar? like how much did that cost?
I just want to know like what's behind it. Like, there's no vocal cords in there. Like, he's not an organic being. Like, it's mechanical. So it would have to be like speakers in there. Like, very loud. Like,
I don't ever want it logically explained away.
Yeah, there's a high-end PA system in there that makes him roar. Like, why?
I just want someone once in a movie to say, why does he roar? Like, because we thought it'd be cool. That's why. And I'm like, yes, works for me.
Really, you're dead on about that. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And I think I guess this is like another, nitpick of like something that like I feel like they kind of almost like kind of tiptoed around, but like could at least confirmed, like when Mechagodzilla like goes haywire and starts acting independently on his own, like is he acting that way because like he has like the DNA of King Ghidorah like in him, and he's having like Ghidorah type memories?
They should have done that.
That's like a personality aspect, and it's like it almost seems like they, I don't know, we're almost kind of setting something like that up. But it's just never explained like why he goes haywire and he just acts independently on his own. But other than just, he's gone haywire, he's on his own. But like he's like very evil and vindictive for a machine.
They do kind of touch on it. Like when Serizawa's like, we don't know how the mecha will react to the new element, and he's like, just get in the fucking chair.
Yeah.
Like when that happens, like I kind of feel like they're setting it up to where the element takes over, like, but like it has to, like, because they basically fry Serizawa, like he gets electric. It's like an electric chair moment basically. So it's not him operating it. So it's either AI that learned his like tactics when he's fighting the skull crawlers and like those training sessions, or it's what I felt like was Kevin. And that's how I took the fight. It was Kevin trying to get his revenge on Godzilla.
Yes. Kevin being the head of King Ghidorah, that was Severed. If you're not in the know, if you don't know, now you know. But I think it would have been, it's one of those things like, well, if you do that, then like he's basically no longer Mechagodzilla. He's like King Ghidorah again.
It is technically Mecha Ghidorah.
And like maybe
I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, like I think it would have been cool if they acknowledged that, like, or said that, like, he's going haywire because it's King Ghidorah, like it's like essentially Ghidorah's ghost, like, piloting Mechagodzilla. I think that would have been cool because, like, it's like when Mechagodzilla almost kills Godzilla, he almost does it by like kind of prying,
it's a callback from 2014,
the kiss of death finisher. Yeah, and it's like you could argue maybe he kind of did, like, he like blew King Ghidorah's like head like with his when it was like in his mouth in King of the Monsters, like. So I'm like, okay, like this seems like something that like it learned from. It seems a very specific way to try to, a very personal way to try to kill Godzilla is what it seemed like. But yeah, that's a beatdown though. That is a beatdown for a long time.
It goes for like a couple minutes, and then like after the beam clash, you get like the Kiss of Death from 2014 callback when it's actually Mechagodzilla trying to do it to Godzilla, and then Kong pops his shoulder back in and makes the save, and then it turns into fucking what was that movie with The Rock and Jason Statham? It's like Hobbs and whatever the other guy's name is.
Oh, one of the Fast and the Furious spin-off movies. I don't know. I've never seen
it turns into that after this because Godzilla and Kong team up to fight Mechagodzilla, and it's just like a monster brawl. It's awesome. It's daytime, so you can see it very clearly at this point. So
yeah, we have a movie where Godzilla and Kong are teamed up together to kill Mechagodzilla. I was like, this is. If you told me we were going to get a movie like this like years ago, I would find it hard to believe. But I like how like Mechagodzilla has all these weapons, like all these missiles and beams, and he just prefers to like stomp, knee, and punch Godzilla, and then just take his head and just slam it into the ground and buildings like repeatedly. I was like, this is like pretty fucking vicious. Like, I was like, you got missiles and beams, and you're just like. No. I'm just gonna like smash your head around for like a little bit. Yeah. And, I think I said like offline to you like when I was watching it, like Mechagodzilla like doing like knee lifts. Like, he like puts Godzilla against a building at one point and starts like kneeing him in the gut. Yeah. And I was like, that is hysterical. That's happening right now.
This whole scene is just a spectacle to behold. Eventually, like. Mechagodzilla's getting the upper hand, and he's about to kill Kong, but Godzilla beams the axe, which is a Godzilla thing, and it powers up the axe, and Kong gets his win. Very convincing. He makes a hell of a comeback, smashes Mechagodzilla's arms off, and then decapitates him and rips his head off Sub-Zero style.
Yeah. Fantastic ending to that.
It was right like when Kong roars, I'm just like, so satisfying. What an end to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, because Kong is like being manipulated by the people who are trying to power Mechagodzilla. So it's like he doesn't even know Mechagodzilla exists. But Godzilla is like searching all around for him and can't find him and like confuses Kong for Mechagodzilla because it's like, hey, there it is. That's the big thing that I'm looking for, I guess. And he sort of Godzilla backs away from the fight because he's like, you aren't the thing I'm looking for. So he lets him live almost, even though he's about to die. And they like have to supercharge his heart.
Yeah, when Godzilla's like finally beaten him. Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Good, like, what is that supposed to be? It was like, did he just like finally like get some like respect for Kong, and he's like, whatever, I'm not going to just outright kill you, or was it that he's like, you're not the real threat? And sorry as I just collapsed your chest, I came to realize you. Hope you get better. To catch you later.
But like, I think that's why he doesn't kill him. He's like, when he's like they're roaring at each other, like he got the roar, and he's just like, this isn't what I was like looking for, like. So he goes off but I thought Kong getting to kill Mechagodzilla at the end was good because Kong was being manipulated by those people from the very beginning, and that sets up the entire movie. Yeah. Plus, Kong loses like twice to Godzilla in this movie, basically, so he gets his heat back, and now Godzilla walks away having beaten Kong twice, and Kong walks away having killed the machine that was whipping Godzilla's ass. So it's like, it's a nice little triangle of fighting we got going on here.
Yeah, and I think they leave as I hope like the MonsterVerse continues, and I hope that like we get like some movie where there's like some major threat coming again. It's
we
like
gotta
either
destroy
Kong
all
or
monsters.
Godzilla has to go seek. Or I was more just thinking like something that like results in like Kong or Godzilla having to seek the other out and like reform their tag team, and because like that should be like that's their tag team finish, the radioactive breath to the axe club. That's their
Godzilla powers up the axe.
That's their that's their tag team finish from here on out. That's
all right.
We should see them like dispatch like 20 monsters in one movie with that move.
Give me like a Godzilla fights another new monster movie for like a Godzilla 3 or something. And then after that, like culminate the MonsterVerse with a Destroy All Monsters where you get Kong, Godzilla, Mothra, and maybe one other monster fighting out against like a Mecha Ghidorah. They bring him back and he has to be Mecha this time. Mecha Ghidorah, Gigan, and then 2 other new monsters or something,
I think somewhere in there too, Legendary has to get the rights to Gamera and just get it over with, and have a Gamera standalone movie, and then like have Godzilla, Kong, and Gamera team up as like their own kind of Avengers, Defenders, Justice League, whatever you want to call it. Like as like we just gotta get the 3 of them finally together in a movie and just get it over with.
I don't know if we need Kong. I think it would be better if it was just Godzilla versus Gamera.
Yeah, I'm saying for the team up.
Oh, for the team up movie.
All
okay,
3
gotcha.
for the team up.
Okay,
for the team up. Yeah, we gotta have one where there's a team.
So
up.
he could be the 4th.
And,
is like he comes out of nowhere. He just like spirals in, and like Mothra's like riding on him or something.
It's Showa Gamera, and he looks all goofy like the Showa Gamera does. They don't even update the design at all.
He's the only thing that's like live action and the CGI fight.
Yeah, it's still a guy in a suit just surrounded by CGI Godzilla and Kong. And he has like the flamethrower for his breath instead of any like CGI effects for his breath.
That'd be great. Don't let us write your movie, Hollywood. This is better for like laugh at podcasts.
You don't want to make too much money. You don't want to make too much money.
But
it'll go right to your head.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up Godzilla versus Kong, though. It's a roller coaster ride. It is relentless in its pace. You cannot catch your breath. Boom, 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 from scene to scene to scene, and there's very little downtime. Everything to me was the human element was just like competent enough to work, and the monster stuff was like so far out there that you just can't help but like love the spectacle of it.
Yeah, I agree. This is it's like I said earlier, like the fact that I got to watch this movie and Singular Point all on the same day, 2 extremely different takes and styles. And like the fact that like both these things exist like right now, I was like, this is good. It's a Godzilla for all seasons, and this is the Monster Bash Godzilla.
Yes.
And you know what? It puts I hope like I guess it's probably not the end of the Monster Bash, right? Because like we're getting the Kong Skull Island anime, which is set in the MonsterVerse. But I guess actually now we can talk about like leaks and spoilers and stuff, and I had like read the leaks that had kind of come out like over the months and stuff like that. And actually, most of them ended up being accurate. Yes. But one thing that kind of stuck out to me was that like it kind of came from sources that I think were pretty spot on with a lot of leaks. That like they like one leaker in particular said that 2 endings were filmed because it's like unclear. It's like where like the MonsterVerse was going, and like one ending involved like Godzilla, supposedly like having an ambiguous end, like that maybe Godzilla sacrifices himself to kill Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And it's unclear if Godzilla dies or not. And there's just like a post-credit scene where Godzilla's getting revived, or someone's trying some group is trying to revive Godzilla. But and I think that was going to be if that's like the definitive end of the MonsterVerse, where I think this ending, which whatever, that sounds well and good. I think this ending is better, where it's like they just
sort of acknowledge each other and Kong throws down the axe, and Godzilla sort of says, all right, we're good then, with a very loud roar.
Yeah. I guess, it's going to probably be, with Godzilla's future in the MonsterVerse, like, that's probably going to be dependent on Toho. But, it sounds like this movie is, like, overperforming expectations. And
excellent.
It's like, think about it, we're in a pandemic, and internationally, granted, like, every country is, like, handling theaters and stuff different, but, either way, like, theaters aren't as strong worldwide, and Godzilla vs. Kong had a stronger opening weekend during a pandemic than Godzilla King of the Monsters did. And it seems like it's tracking to, like, kind of go well above its expectations of what it was going to do for box office.
Great.
And plus, whatever money it gets from the HBO Max deal, which is still, like, the wildest thing. Everyone was kind of like, ooh, that's quite the gamble for HBO Max, but it seems like it's paying off for them.
Good.
Like, they're releasing all these major movies, and
I want nothing but winners.
HBO Max
nothing but winners.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat, like, they're doing it's like a Legendary or Warner Brothers movie every month for, like, the rest of the year, and, like, Mortal Kombat
that back
now is just, like, in a few weeks.
King of the Godzilla vs. Kong have more breathing room to, like.
Yes, that's it's what a strategy. It seemed like a risky move because, like, they paid an insane amount of money to do that, but it seems like it's paying off. But so I hope that the MonsterVerse continues with Godzilla in it. At least, like, I hope it continues with Kong, if nothing else, which I would think is probably the more likely scenario.
Here's my hot take of this. The MonsterVerse is the best cinematic universe. And I've seen every DC, most of the Marvel, not all, obviously. That's a lot of movies. But and I've seen all of these movies, and I have to say this by far has been the most, like, interested, especially with the Hollow Earth stuff going on. I thought, like, it was all just, like, harebrained theory, but then once you see it, it's like this awesome, like, upside down world, basically.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was, like, the coolest shit. It's very RPG like when Kong is, like, getting to the throne in that fortress area. I'm just like, oh man, this is, like, totally a Lord of the Rings, like, sci-fi nerd.
I was gonna say he's Cecil becoming the Paladin.
Oh yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yes, exactly. You know.
Yeah, the MonsterVerse is, like, I mean, nobody has ever done something with the scope, like, of the MCU, but it's in the MonsterVerse are, like, 4 movies, but it's like every movie's totally different but very cohesive. Yes. I feel like, and it's like they kept it, like, the tightest, and where it's like, for, like, the MCU, I think, like, for someone like me, like, I've seen a handful of the Marvel movies, but, like, I haven't seen, like, the newer Avengers movies because I'm like, well, there's like, but there's like 15 other movies I gotta kind of see before it to get, like, the most enjoyment out of it. Like, that's a little bit too much of, like, a bloat for me. Like, whereas, like, the MonsterVerse is, like, a nice tight, like, you get one movie every kind of couple of years, and you can kind of wrap your head around the whole story, and there's not, like, 20 million characters to keep track of. I think that's why it works as well as it does to me. But it's fun. It's fun.
Where are you ranking this boy on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this a jobber, lower mid card, upper mid card, or main eventer to you?
My knee jerk reaction is it's a 4 out of 5 upper mid card. It's a like I said, to me, best of the MonsterVerse. Every movie in life in general should be no more than an hour and 50 minutes, like this movie is.
This movie's speed too really helped it along. Like, the time flies by when you're watching it.
Yeah, and if this is, I hope it's not the last MonsterVerse movie, but if it is, like I said, like, a little while ago, like, I enjoyed the MonsterVerse for what it is. I definitely prefer the Toho movies generally over the MonsterVerse, but it was a nice, like, I don't know, it's a nice little fun, I don't know, collection of movies, and a nice little, I hope it's not the end, because I'll be sad to see it go if this is the end. But if it is, this was a great way to go out. But anything that makes money never dies. So I'm guessing it'll be back in some form. Well, at least the Kong anime, we get that. So
I'm going straight up 5. This is one of my favorite Godzilla movies. Like, period. Like, this was just so much fun for me. Like, every other monster movie is always like very human heavy, and like you get a lot of ranting and raving and manufactured conflict with the human element, and it gets kind of grating on me, but that, like, I just want to see some fucking monsters fight. Like, why am I listening to these people whine? I don't want to. I want to see the monsters fight. And I always felt like there was never really enough of that in any previous monster movie. This movie really was just like, nope, here's your movie, Chris. We made this for you. Like, you wanted the monsters, you got the monsters. Like, it's a steak and cheese with extra cheese. Like, thank you for just putting the extra cheese on there for me, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I think if a movie can do human characters well, it absolutely should, because I think that makes it a more well-rounded movie. But I don't know, how many different directors do we get in the MonsterVerse? And nobody quite figured out how to make good, compelling. I mean, they're not bad human characters, but like they're all just kind of this shallow. They're all pretty shallow, you know. And so I liked the approach of we're going to recognize that it's a little shallow, and we're going to go heavy on the monster stuff. So
yeah,
listen, it's like what Paul Heyman says. Highlight the strengths, hide the weaknesses.
Yeah, and I thought this movie did a lot of that and more, especially with the Hollow Earth stuff. So, straight up 5 from me. I like this better than Shin Godzilla. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh boy. For the listeners, Shin Godzilla is. I don't know. It's in my top 3.
Me too.
I feel like once a movie hits my top 3, it's very hard for me to say like one is better than the other, but that's also joined with like the original, Monster Zero, Mothra versus Godzilla kind of floats in and out of there of that top 3, but again, those are actually all movies that have strong human casts too. So it's which was not a point I was trying to make, but
I think my top 3 are
just
GMK, this, and the original.
Yeah, I think the MonsterVerse in general kind of sits somewhere in like the middle of the now 36 movies that are out there, which is good. That's a good, in my ranking and in my head, that's a good place to be, like somewhere like in that 12 to 15-ish range in my head.
Yeah.
Like those are all movies I enjoy quite a bit. Actually, I like all the movies except for like 2. So I like them all except for Godzilla 98 and Godzilla X Mega Gear. So other than that, I pretty much like to some degree almost all the movies. So whatever.
But like for me, like I thought the MonsterVerse movies just kept getting better and better and better, and this is sort of the culmination of it. And I don't expect like high art from like a Hollywood blockbuster monster movie. I just expect some like shut off your brain and have a good time, like 2 hours where you could just immerse yourself in this world and not care about anything else. And this movie did that for me, so I really like it. And if you don't like it, and you're on Twitter and you're angry about it, I understand. Do your thing. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to dissuade you. I really liked it, and you can't dissuade me. And this is the stuff we can disagree about.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it, but there is like it seems like some people who haven't liked it that I've seen, like not like just Twitter, but like whatever, Facebook and other places and stuff. I was like, boy, like you really lay in heavy with disliking it, just say you don't, it's fine. Like and don't like what you want, but it's not good for you to make so many posts about it. It's not good for you. Jesus, don't do it.
I disagree. Work through your anger and get through the other side in one piece.
Well, there you go. You got 2 different routes of advice.
Yeah.
Choose the path that works for you.
We're both, our hearts are in a good place, and we're looking out for you.
Yes, exactly.
But, like what you like, don't be a dick. That's my motto. Well, it's not my motto. It's Brian Sander's motto. I just really like it.
Well, that's Godzilla versus Kong.
Hey there, Slickster.
Hey, Smooth.
You get any figs?
I got a ton.
A ton, he says.
Yes, I will. A ton of figures and other random purchases. I will take it in. I will open with one of the more random things that I bought on a whim after our last episode. I bought the official novelization of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Okay. I don't know why, but I did.
Are you ever going to read it?
Nope. But I flipped to one section because, and actually now Godzilla vs. Kong has now rendered the novel inaccurate. But in the novel, there's actually there's a explanation as to like what Kong was doing during Ghidorah's like call across the planet, and it just says Kong basically heard it and was like, "Who's this asshole? Like I'm not going anywhere." And but also like he realizes that it wakes up a whole bunch of skull crawlers, and he's like, "Oh, good! Like I'll kick the shit out of a bunch of skull crawlers on the island." But yeah, so that is what he did in that novel. He heard Ghidorah's cry and goes, "No, I'm good. I'm going to stay here," which now obviously is inaccurate to what was going on in this movie. So that was a random purchase. I got that. We both got the King Kong NECA repaint variant, the movie poster variant. I guess is what they're saying it is. But
the Walmart exclusive that we got at Target.
Yeah, I agree. I also thought that was a Walmart exclusive, but and we both found it at a Target. But I don't know, really. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get it, and then I came across it when I saw it in person. It looked really cool in person, and we both talked about how awesome that first NECA Kong figure was.
Yes,
and so it's the same mold, but with like a cool like light up paint thing going on. I still kept the 33 style head on mine, and I think
that's how I justified this. Head. Yeah. I put the angrier head is on this one, and I think with the color, the new paint scheme on it looks fantastic. Justified the purchase completely. It's still super dense and enormous, so you could definitely do some damage with this. It's not a playtime thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the torso is like it seems like it's a solid plastic that could really put a goose egg on your head if you thwap someone with it.
I put it on my tricephalon playset, and it looks like really cool amongst like the cardboard buildings and stuff like that. Like it pairs really well.
I do think the head that's on here though, the angry head, it is more 33 inspired because his head does come to like a cone head tip on it.
Yeah.
But it's it completely justified the purchase to have the other head on display. I didn't want a second one of the other ones, so just throw a little paint on there, and you got me, NECA. You got me.
Yep. I also on that same trip, speaking of throwing a little bit of paint on there, and you get me, I got the Bile variant of Godzilla 89 from NECA as well. That one I put out, and I put the beam in the mouth. So that's my only NECA figure with the beam in the mouth, besides the poster 56 one. So
welcome to the party.
Cool. Yep. That's how I justified that purchase. I was like, well, I'm going to put a beam in it. They're getting harder to find, and I just happened to find one. So
yeah, those and we've discussed before, but those late stage NECA Godzilla figures are the best they've done.
Yeah, I agree. And then on the Playmate side, I got the Battle Roar Kong, which is like you hit like a little. He's like kind of like a 6 or 7 inch figure, give or take, and like you hit like a little button on the back, and like his like mouth opens up and he roars. He's got like kind of like this like weird rubber head that smells a little funny, but cool figure. Like it doesn't have like it doesn't have like a lot of like articulation. Like it's just basically like the arms can kind of move in like a chest beating, or like he's putting up his Dukes type pose, but like his legs don't move. But either way, it's like a really cool looking sculpt, and the fact you hit the button and like the mouth opens up and roars is pretty cool. I just wish the head didn't smell funny. So don't, if you get it, don't hold it like too close to your nose when you're
Mr. Simpson, it smells funny in there.
That's pretty much it. So I got that, and then I got the Mega 13-inch Godzilla that roars, lights up, and fires a little like atomic breath missile. That figure is awesome. If you find it, buy it, because it's like
it's like $30. It's very affordable.
And
it's not as much as we thought it was originally.
Yeah, and it's like a little bit of like a better sculpt than like the 11-inch one is, that doesn't do any cool shit. But like what I really like about it is that the screw holes, they filled them in. Yeah. Like, and they like put like little covers on it. I was like, oh, it's awesome. So
it looks like the colors from the parts don't match all the way.
No, they on the screw hole covers, you mean?
Well, like
the screw hole covers,
I heard those were a little shiny.
Darker, but no, I'd say it.
I watched our friend of the podcast, Shinrab Jerry's video on this, and it looked like the coloring was just slightly off from part to part on his.
Oh, mine looks all right, but yeah, maybe he'll come back soon to the podcast. That'd be cool.
Maybe
next week. I don't know.
You used to speak about me the way you spoke about him.
But it's like you kind of pointed out too. Like it's cool that it lights up, but it lights up from the top of the plates to the bottom, and it should really go the other way to be movie accurate. But
I kind of feel like if I got that figure, I would just be like, I hate this. I need to revert. Like I'm too like inattentive that I would have to like take it out and just like switch the lights around,
flip it around, yeah,
just so I could be like, I could have peace of mind when it would go. Like it would never even be used, but just the peace of mind that if it ever was used, it would be correct.
I don't know. I keep it in the same room that the room that I'm in now, which is also the room that I like work out of. And I won't lie, sometimes I spin around and I just hit the button and hear the roar, and I go like, "That's fun, that's cool." But
I love when Dan does the roar.
And then I got the 11-inch Playmates Mechagodzilla figure, which I thought looked pretty cool. And then when I actually saw the movie, and I was like, wow, he looks a lot cooler in the movie than he does this figure. But it's still a pretty cool figure. I think I really want to get the 6-inch one. Has like way more articulation and like looks better overall, and like that I really want to get. But the 11-inch one is cool. It's like the legs don't bend, the arms don't bend. Like the arms go up and down, and like you can like maneuver the hands and stuff. But like just not a lot of stuff moves on it. But it looks cool. Although it's actually it says it's like 11-inch, but it's actually like a little shorter than the 11-inch Godzilla.
Okay.
And to me, anyway, I think like maybe if like how like Mechagodzilla's like kind of like hunched over, like maybe like one of those dorsal plates like hits like 11 inches, but his head is like significantly lower than like he doesn't go eye to eye with the 11-inch Godzilla. And now that we saw the movie where he's apparently ginormous, like I kind of wish we got like a 13-inch one to like be more in scale. But
I was gonna say scaling issues, but again these are toys, they're not collectibles, so who cares?
Yeah,
like, if they're not
right.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it looks really cool.
I hold Playmates to a pretty low standard when it comes to like not like overall quality, just like you know what I mean. Like it's not going to look like how like the NECA Kong looks, how it's like super dense and thick. It's going to be just hollow plastic that like is more affordable, and that's fine. Like you make those figures absolutely.
I wish it had like ball joints though for the arms. That's the other thing I wish. I wish it had that. Yeah,
like I would want a smaller version of this figure just because I think I'm the 6-inch figure collector. Like that's a good height to get figures at. I don't like the big ones because they take up too much space and I have no place to put them. So I will probably avoid the 11-inch one. The ones I do really want though are the Hong Kong and Godzilla figures though. Even though I already have those figures technically through like other figures that I own, like I want those little paint splat ones.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
particularly the Godzilla one.
I think those are the best figures they've done so far. Those are the ones that like got me the most interested.
Yeah,
so far.
I 100% agree. And then my final purchase, which is probably the most absurd thing I've gotten in a little bit, it was the the Rose Art Godzilla figure maker from the 90s, which had so it has like kind of like the Trendmasters branding like Godzilla like copyright thing, and well, I take it back. It has the Godzilla that was used for the Trendmasters packaging, as well as like the font and everything. But it's made by Rose Art, not by Trendmasters. And what it is 3 like plastic molds of Godzilla, Rodan, and Mecha King Ghidorah. And it came with like clay, which has since been dried out. But like you essentially squish it in, you make some figures, they dry, and then you paint them. But what's really interesting is like on the box, it uses Trendmasters figures on the box to make you think you are making molds that match the Trendmasters Godzilla, Rodan, and Mecha King Ghidorah.
You are not.
And then but also on the box, it shows like 3 pictures, an example of like how to make this Godzilla figure. And it's like you open the mold, put the modeling clay in, and then press it tight, open it back up. And when you open it up, there's like an all white Trendmasters Godzilla figure in a mold that doesn't even match the shape that he's in. Like, because the actual mold is like Godzilla like in this walking pose with like his like one hand down by his hip and his other arm like awkwardly resting backwards on his shoulder, which I don't know what the hell that pose is supposed to be. But just very like a weird marketing thing. But so I got that, and I bought new modeling clay, and I have just been pumping out like these figures. Like, the first one I made was like in orange and black style Shin Godzilla one. Then I made like a Boston Celtics set where I just I stopped like trying to paint them nicely. So what I did was I would get like a cup. And I would just fill it, like for the Celtics one, I just filled it with green paint, gold paint, black paint, and white paint, and like some water. And I just started dipping them in there and like letting the random colors come out on it. Like that actually came out pretty sweet. And then I did like one more where I did something similar, but I kind of did like more like Halloween colors. And it was like black, white, orange, and purple. And it kind of came out kind of like psychedelic and funny. And I thought that was cool. But I also made you a set.
Yes,
which
I have my slick made set. I have not started painting them yet, but they're downstairs. I'm setting my area up on my living room table. I gotta get like newspaper on there and stuff, so I can paint these things up. I have a plan for them. I'm doing NECA reactor for the Godzilla. And it's going to come out terrible, and you're going to laugh at it. For Rodan, I think I'm going to do the 2019 Rodan as this Rodan, and then I'm pretty much just going to do a straight up Mecha King Ghidorah. Yeah,
I'll say the Godzilla one, the Godzilla mold is fine. If you use too much, it becomes difficult for him to stand. But also, if you don't use enough, then you don't get like a lot of detail, and it's kind of messed up. The Rodan one is like hideous. Like it's like he looks like a pterodactyl with like a plague mask, like a plague doctor like mask on it.
Yes.
And then actually, the Mecha King Ghidorah one is like completely fine. It just looks like it's just Mecha King Ghidorah, and it's fine, But such a random piece to add, but. I was glad to finally get it because I don't know. Now we're like whenever I'm bored, I'll just go like, well, whatever. I'll go make myself some new Godzilla toys if I'm bored.
Want some new ones? I need more snippets. But that's it for fig purchases for you?
That's enough. That was enough, I think. I think that was everything I got. I mean, there's stuff in the mail, but I don't talk about it until it arrives. So
I love how you say that every week. There's stuff in the mail, and like there's me who like gets like 1 or 2 figures, maybe.
Listen, it's years ago when I was a single man in my downtime, I go like, oh, they should go on like Match.com or something like that. But as someone who has been a married man for a long time and with my wife for almost 11 years, you replace that with I should go on eBay, see what's popping, and that's the way it goes.
I kind of do both from time to time. Depends. But that'll do it for the shoot portion of the podcast. We got a kayfabe section coming your way right now with the OIWF, the big happenings.
That's great because I'm totally unprepared for this. So we're gonna book in the fly.
Me too. This isn't going to be a long segment by any means because we're at the end of our show today. But we're having a meeting with Bandai Titanosaurus to discuss what happened when. That was just a podcast joke. We're discussing what happened with the title match with 74 Godzilla as the referee, where there's an internal investigation going on. Can't speak about the allegations that have been made, but there have been allegations made that look to be quite damning. Yes,
so I think we'll have more on that on our Twitter or on this very podcast, but. Yes, there could be some major happenings going on. And I think, maybe over the course of the next 2 weeks, you'll probably also just get some more random matchups like happened like the other day when Trendmaster's Mecha King Ghidorah, the wind-up walking one, just really took Bandai Space Gauss and Bandai Varas took him to school. We talked about that Mechagodzilla beatdown and Godzilla vs. Kong being ugly. I don't know if those two will ever be the same again until I need 2 more Jabbas for another display. But it's just, and then, talk about Bandai Titanosaurus, again, just rolled right over Bandai Megalon. And clearly, emotions are running high with the former world champ right now. So, we'll have to see how this plays out. But, yeah, could be big. The OIWF could change forever.
Keep your eye on the OIWF because I think probably sooner than later we'll have something major happening regarding the state of the OIWF.
Yes, in our world title picture.
I've also heard rumblings of a returning superstar who's been gone for a while, making echoes of a return. Yeah. Happening. You can hear more about that on our 1-900-909-9900 number. Kids, get your parents' permission before calling.
It's only $99.99 a minute. Well, I guess all that's left to do is to tease our next episode, and by tease I mean just give it away. So we will be joined by friend of the pod, YouTuber extraordinaire, Shinrob Jira will be coming back.
Listen to it just for the intro you give him.
Yeah. Are you saying we already recorded this and it's going to be it's already in the can? It is.
It's in the can.
We recorded the other night.
No, we do these live. We do these live. It's a terrible strain on me as an editor.
And we will be doing a retrospective on the first Godzilla Trendmasters line. Very exciting. I think it came out very good, and I don't know. It's a good time. Good time.
I serve one role in it, and it's to play the role of the guy who says, "We need Kong. The world needs him." Just so you have to drink.
Yep, don't forget that's the drinking rule. Well,
that wasn't even the line of the movie.
I know. It has changed up. We need Kong to find that energy source. The world needs Kong. And I was like, oh, damn it.
But,
well, I got nothing else.
Me neither. You don't want to say anything to our lovely audience before we go?
I don't know. Godzilla's out there hurting people and we don't know why. There you go. Goodbye.